part is WARPAINT.
They told you the war was over, and that the culture battle was done, dusted, settled. They told you to go home, smile nice, and obey. But you're here. And so am I. Which means it's not over. Who wants to begin?
I'm tired of sleeping and dreaming. Hop out the shell of a being. I'm tired of working and bleeding. I am the God and I mean it.
There can be only one.
16, rolling up another scene. Papa got the vaccine, so ain't no acting, play no practice. Niggas wanna check this out, the playlist. Acting brainless, fuck you, pay me. I'm tired of sleeping and dreaming. How about the shell of a being? I'm tired of working and bleeding. I am the God and I mean it.
All right, I am unmuted. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, because there are only two options. Before we get into the discussion of the Minnesota ICE shooting, I would like to take a moment for the simultaneous sip, because that is the most important moment to get us all on the same page, to unite us, regardless of whether you're here to hate watch or not. Grab your drink. Let's have a little moment. Cheers. All right, today's a day where we're just going to get right into it. You guys know why you're here. You guys know the Warboy Studio. You guys at least know who I am. I'm sure there's probably some who are hate watching. I got a crazy amount of engagement over the last day, thanks to my commentary over this incident. And we're just going to talk about it because yesterday, as you guys all know, in Minnesota, there was a shooting that happened because that's what happens when you try to, run away from when your intent is to disrupt ICE proceedings or any proceedings of law enforcement when it comes to investigating or apprehending criminals. If you take it upon yourself to intercede, particularly when you are behind the wheel of a 2-ton vehicle, you should expect to face consequences for that. Now, I am not going to celebrate nor endorse celebrating the death of this woman. She was a mother, and her children will have to grow up without her. But perhaps we should start there, because this is actually one of the tweets that really struck me most from Lauren Chen. Let's just pull this up on the screen really quick. Okay, Lauren Chen writes, I just figured out why the Minnesota ICE death is bothering me so much. This liberal woman was willing to take on federal agents to disrupt ICE operations in order to protect criminal Somalis. Obviously, she probably didn't imagine she would be killed, but surely she must have known that at the very least she could be arrested. She has 3 kids, so why was she willing to be separated from her kids to protect criminal Somalis? Speaking as a mother, this is insanity. This is not rational thinking. What it is instead is a result of liberal brain rot that convinces progressive women that they have more of a duty to nurture and protect poor brown criminal strangers than their own country, and hell, even their own children. I am praying for this woman's soul and for her family, but I mean it when I say this type of thinking is almost wholly responsible for the decline of Western civilization. And she is 100% correct. That is the most correct take that I've seen on this entire incident. Because, quite frankly, it is sad. It is unfortunate that this woman died. But as we will look at when we watch, I have 3 different angles of the incident for you guys on that I've collected from X. And we'll watch because this woman not only clearly drives at a police officer, ICE agent, she hits the guy. So there's no reason, and I had speculated, or I hadn't speculated, I had declared a few times on X that I knew exactly where the bullet went in. I'm going to retract that now. I don't 100%, I can't 100% tell from these videos in particular. I will be following up on that. We can even do some of that research together. But quite frankly, the truth is that when you are there to intentionally agitate officers, as we've seen witness testimony of, which I can also probably find, when your intent is to show up to disrupt and get in the way of proceedings of law enforcement officers, and you're being told by multiple officers to not move, to get out of your car. Allegedly, they were trying to issue her a ticket. And instead of listening to police, she, she backed her car up, and then she started to go forward. I mean, she was turning her car, but like, you can't, the thing that bothers me about the way liberals misrepresent this moment is you can't determine. Okay, let me start the sentence over. I'm just having pregnancy brain. When the car's wheels are turned to the side, yes, the car is going to turn to the side, but if there's something directly in front of your car, it doesn't matter if you're trying to turn to the side, you're going to hit what's in front of your car. And there is a police officer, an ICE agent, law enforcement officer, federal agent, whatever you want to refer to him as, standing right in front of her car. You could see from the footage. We'll pull up one of the shots. Okay, which one should we start with? We'll start with this one. As we can see right there, he's right in front of the car, drives into him. We can get a better angle. Hold on, let me switch it out. Or a more clear one. This one's the more clear one. Let me turn the volume off for this one. So you could see him in front of the car. You can see her drive into him with the car. And I guess for this, we'll turn the volume back on. Yeah, as far as I can tell, he's still in front of the car when the first gunshot goes off. That's exactly what it looks like to me. But again, I'm sure this will be analyzed to death over the coming weeks, months, maybe even years, depending on how long this actually. But it's true. She quite visibly actually hits him. There's no denying that this woman hit the officer with her car. So the question then becomes, at least for public scrutiny's sake, the question then becomes, is the shooting justified? Well, knowing what we know, from the angle that we see it there, she hits the guy with her car. Now, Homeland Security, we can actually pull up this tweet. Homeland Security, we'll pull it up in a minute, but Homeland Security sent out a tweet that verified that the officer followed training. Now, the reason that he followed training, and the reason that we understand that he followed training, is because when you're actively being targeted by a woman in a 2-ton vehicle, that is lethal. That is potentially lethal situation. Especially once he's hit, there's no reason for him to assume that she wouldn't then try to back up and try to hit more of them. So it becomes immediately a self-defense situation. Now, I know a lot of liberals have also tried to take this angle and spin it to show videos of cops running over protesters or to show rioters getting run over. These are not the same scenarios. When a rioter stops you in the middle of traffic to try to prevent you from leaving, it is reasonable for you to assume that that person's trying to kill you. Your vehicle is your domain. You're allowed self-defense. The idea that this woman wouldn't have known these guys were federal law enforcement is also incredibly laughable because she was literally there to agitate. But disregarding any of that in the first place, when several law enforcement officers are surrounding your car and telling you not to go anywhere, and one of them's even standing directly in front of your car, you're not supposed to drive away, first of all, at all. Second of all, any person with an IQ above Forrest Gump understands that if there's something directly in front of your car, turning your wheel is not going to prevent you from running into them. You're still going to hit the person in front of your car or whatever it is in front of your car. So again, incredibly tragic, 100%. Avoidable, 100%. She didn't have to be there. She didn't have to drive her car at all. She had no reasonable path to leave without hitting somebody, and she was clearly being told not to leave. So again, this devolves really rapidly on the internet because team sports start to come out. And really it's kind of sad in that sense because this situation shouldn't be politicized too hard. I understand that it's ICE related and I understand that it's about apprehending illegals, but regardless of any of that, the situation itself is a very cut and dry situation. Woman is told not to leave. She drives into an officer. Officer perceives the threat, takes the shot to ensure that there's no other collateral damage, or to minimize collateral damage, I should say. That's pretty cut and dry. There's no political angle of that. She was a white woman. You can't even try to make this a racial thing. You can't even try to be like, oh, well, like they only did it because she was brown. No, none of that is going to apply. And liberals are losing their minds about it. And quite frankly, it's pathetic. It's sad. There's a woman who's dead. There's children who will be raised with their mother because liberal ideology taught her to place the value of these Somalis above her own children. And not only to place the value of these Somalis above her own children, but to actively go to put herself in harm's way in order to defend criminal strangers instead of being with your children. This isn't an act of nobility. I don't feel it's an act of nobility. I don't believe that it's reasonable to put yourself in danger for people who want you dead and would rather take over your country and see you be completely eradicated. It doesn't make sense to me at all. But leaving that aside for just a second, let's just scroll through. I have a few bookmarks saved, and we can analyze this situation a little bit further. Okay. All right. Yeah, we have more angles we can look at. Okay, so here's another one. They're trying to say that this footage of her waving people along is evidence that, like, she didn't do something later on. As if that makes any sense at all. It really doesn't. A violent revolutionary, yes. Somebody who goes out of their way to find where ICE officers are conducting an investigation or an apprehension and actively putting yourself in the way of that investigation with your car is a revolutionary act. It's an act of instigation for sure, and definitely an act of defiance. And it's, again, this situation could have been totally avoided. But the idea that oh, she waved this guy off earlier means that she didn't have any harm when she drove directly into an officer. Doesn't really check out either. We already went over Lauren Chen. All right, let's listen to this guy. I actually don't know his name, but
An ICE officer just killed a civilian. But was she innocent? Many are saying yes, based on this clip.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my fucking God!
Looks like cold-blooded murder, right? Now, before you react, ask yourself, is there something I'm not seeing? Because there's another angle. One mainstream media.
see, that's the really important part of this too. And I'm really disgusted by the X standards for the app development, because we actively know that it's allowing people to take people's children's images and turn it into explicit CP. But while I'm upset about that, without X, we wouldn't have had this angle come out so soon. And that's going to be really key when it comes to this court trial.
Media isn't showing you. Watch. Here it is one more time. Look closely. Her car makes contact with the officer. You can see him jolt backward. And here's a picture showing a bullet through the front windshield, consistent with the vehicle.
Okay, so I hadn't seen a close-up of that, but there's the confirmation that the shot went through the windshield. Okay. When we watched the clip earlier, I did also say that it sounded as if the first bullet went off when the cop was still in front of the car, and this just confirms that. So,
accelerating forward into the agent's path. Now, let's walk through the facts. Is this woman's death a tragedy?
absolutely.
Of course. She's a human being. Are you allowed to interfere with law enforcement and then accelerate away when they confront you?
No.
No. Did her car make contact with an officer as she accelerated away?
Yes.
The video appears to show, yeah. Did she intend to hit him? We don't know. But let's be charitable.
It's fair to ask to be charitable and assume, but again, I don't think that it's reasonable for any person to think that you wouldn't hit something that's directly in front of your car. You could see in that clip that he's leaning on the front of her car, so she knows that he's that close. It doesn't, like, if this is your car, right? And this is where the ICE guy is standing, if this is where the ICE guy is standing, going like this, you're still going to hit him. That's just common logic. So maybe she didn't want to hurt him. I can say that, but to say that she just didn't know she would hit him, I think that might actually be a hair too far for me.
Well, and assume no. If your car contacts an officer while you're fleeing, can that officer use deadly force? Yeah. Can the officer know your intent in that split second? No. He's not watching a slowed down clip on social media. He's reacting in real time to a car that just hit him. If you flee law enforcement and your car makes contact,
he's also glossing over the fact that not only did she hit him, not only does he not know, not only does he have to be in the moment, but the moments prior are her trying to interfere with their job, with them being there in the first place. So he already knows that this woman is entering this not necessarily fully hostilely, but at least in an attempt to agitate and interrupt the situation.
with an officer, you are putting your life at risk.
Yes.
And sadly, she rolled the dice and died. Now, this might surprise you, but this operation wasn't triggered by mass deportations. It was triggered by fraud. Yes, it involved deportations, but it was also about billions of dollars allegedly stolen from programs to help children and families. It was legal enforcement for illegal fraud. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter what they were there for. If you don't like what law enforcement is doing, you have options. Protest, vote, sue, run for office, change the law. But when you decide to take the law into your own hands, When you block officers and then speed off in a 2-ton vehicle while they're standing right next to it, you're not creating change. You're creating chaos.
Well, you're creating change for the kid to get to grow up without you.
And chaos has consequences. Clarity takes work. If you value it, become a paid subscriber on Substack.
Okay, there we go. You can look up his handle. It's this guy right here. I'm not even gonna try to do that. I'm gonna butcher his name. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, here's the interview. Let's give this a watch.
The protest, they clearly wanted her out of there because she was the main.
A resident near the site of ICE shooting in Minneapolis confirms Renee Good was the primary antagonist leading anti-ICE protests before trying to ram an agent and being shot, contradicting her mother's claim that she had, quote, no involvement in anti-ICE protest. Let's go.
They clearly wanted her out of there because she was the main car leading the protest, is my understanding. I talked to another guy who was driving behind her, but she was very successful in blocking traffic. She was doing what she was set out to do, and so they wanted to get her the hell out of there. Yeah.
So it looked like she was impeding ICE vehicles.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That was her goal.
And I mean, this is just the first of what I assume will be much more eyewitness testimony that comes out today. Again, this is a tragic situation. This is an avoidable situation. I'm sorry, I have such bad brain fog these days. I'm entering my second trimester, so just bear with me. But the left will likely burn this lady's home down for speaking the truth. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, especially in a place like Minneapolis. I would be worried for my life if I were her right now. And I mean, it's crazy how reactionary people are to just seeing firsthand footage that proves them wrong. I've literally had like dozens of commenters come into my comment section talking about, oh, well, like, I don't believe the video. It's just some clown world. She gets ordered out of her car. She refuses. She backs up. She drives forward straight into an ICE agent. The agent draws his gun only when her vehicle starts moving towards his body. Self-defense, case closed. Honestly, I would be shocked if this kid... I mean, okay. I literally am on the War Boys network, where we know Enrique Tarrio was sentenced to 22 years for something he wasn't even there for, with no evidence of coordination whatsoever. So I can't say I would be shocked, especially, like we know see what happened to Derek Chauvin. There are so many situations where clear-cut self-defense and clear-cut innocence is still punished. So I'm not gonna come out and say that this isn't going to be anything. We also know that if Tim Wells has anything to say about it, he is going to try to weaponize this situation as much as possible to get public favor back on his side, even though they were investigating fraud that he looks over in the first place. You can't count on logic from these kinds of people. We'll see. I think this is the last post I had saved about it. So again, lots of stuff like this. Lots of commenters just like blatantly lying. Let's see what is the video not even exist anymore? These people are so dishonest. He wasn't even in front of the vehicle. That's why there's a bullet hole through the windshield. Man, you guys really can't make this up. And this is just the latest thing to cry about. There's no reason. Here we go. There's no reason to have assumed that she wanted the ICE officer to die when she hit him with her car. That's fair. I will concede that much. Maybe she wasn't trying to fatally injure him, but I think it's foolish to assume that she didn't understand that she would hit him with her car. You could also like that last the last tweet that we read said she backed up and then went forward again. This was clearly a very dumb moment, and I won't attribute it to her being a woman or anything. I think that's a little bit of low-hanging fruit, especially in this sense, especially considering that there are children who will grow up without a mother now. But I wonder how they're going to react to this when they're old enough to understand what happened. I certainly can't imagine that they would. I don't know. You really can't tell. The liberal hive mind goes deep, and these people will literally ignore evidence. They will use their hatred of law enforcement. And I mean, look, I am not without my distrust of law enforcement. I watched them torture my friends for years. I watched them torture my husband for years. I'm not blind to this. I still get panic attack. I was driving somewhere the other day and there was cop lights behind me. I had a panic attack because I know cops are not always just and fair, and I'm not going to pretend that they are. But the fact of the matter is, and people have asked me this numerous times, well, what if it were you? Well, first of all, I would never, and I repeat, never lead a caravan to go interfere with an ICE operation. That would not happen, never in a million years. But in the situation where, like, I'm still of my liberal mindedness and I've led this convoy to an ICE raid or an ICE investigation, and my intent was to agitate ICE officers, once my car is surrounded by loaded guns pointed at my car, you better believe I'm not trying to drive away. Much less, especially if there's somebody directly in front of my car. That would never happen. I don't think that anybody in their right mind can legitimately say that that would be their course of action. Now, the counters to that have ranged, but the one I will call out in this situation is, well, they were masked men walking up to her car armed. That doesn't work when we know she went there to agitate an ICE investigation. She knew they were ICE officers. She knew this was a federal enforcement situation. She knew that they had legal jurisdiction in this situation, and she decided to not comply. And while we do know that that is abuse, this is not a situation where that is abused. As far as I understand the law, this is textbook self-defense, and that's where it ends. So let me know what you guys think. Share with me your thoughts. Share with me your insight. I have to go be a mom and get ready for playtime and naps. You can watch WARPAINT. So typically I am going to be doing a Thursday morning show. It's typically going to be at 9 a.m. And I was going to cancel, honestly. I wasn't going to do the show at all today. I was going to start this next week because I hadn't started that segment yet, and this is not what the segment's going to be. It's going to be like a gaming thing. But I just thought the boys are off in the world. This is a serious situation. And despite being totally brain fogged and mumbling over half of my stuff, I had a lot to say, and I think it's important for people to have this conversation. The baby calls. God bless you all. This has been WARPAINT. I hope that you have worn it well. Make sure you're following all the links below, and I will see you next time. Mondays, 2:30. Thursdays, 9 a.m. Fridays, 9 p.m. Saturdays, 2:30. I will see you next time. Follow Warboy Studios. Coulter out.